Hello guys and welcome to my channel, Blissfully Single Bean. I'm your homegirl Bean and I am your blissfully single one. Welcome to my review of Ready to Love Season 3 Episode 10. And I'm a little bit frustrated because this is my second take of this. I just got a camcorder for Christmas, so I'm trying to get used to using my camcorder. So yeah, I've done a couple of takes to try and get this right. Hopefully this works, it goes through and I'm able to upload. But yeah, welcome to my channel and I'm glad you are here. This episode was deep. It got really deep at parts, and I'm going to try and do this review without crying, but I make no promises to anyone. Usually I start my reviews with a toast, some alcoholic beverage of some kind, but it being the new year and me trying to shed the 15 pounds that I know I picked up in 2 weeks, we're drinking salsa water. Shout out to that Schweppes. Ooh, I love the salsa water. Shout out to the Schweppes. Shout out to the Schweppes. Episode opens up with Jay and Joy. They are cozy by the fire, just chemistry oozing between the two, and it's just such a natural vibe, such a loving and carefree vibe. And it's like, looking at it, this damn dog. Looking at it, it's like there's a storm coming for Joy, and it's really unfortunate to see. But we'll get into it. Denise wants to know where Kalfani is at. Where is your head at? Am I your number one? Because you're definitely my number one, and you've been my number one from the jump. And this is the theme with this week's episodes. A lot of those caught in the love triangles, they wanna see, you've been toggling between me and person B for a while now. Who is it? Who is number one on your list? So there was a lot of that clarity that people were seeking this episode. Kalfani was honest with Denise. Kalfani said, for the longest, Denise, you were my first. And then Adriana kind of made her way over to me, and Adriana is my number one at this point in time. Now you can tell Denise was pissed. She was upset, and rightfully so, but I like the fact that she really held her composure and didn't tell him to go to hell like I knew she wanted to tell him. And then she goes on to say she's disappointed in the fact that she's now his number two when she was starting to fall in love with him. And I had to pause. Falling in love with him? How long have you been on this resort? 2 years? I just don't understand how in a few weeks you think you fall in love with Kalfani. Listen, I'm not the type of person that ascribes to love at first sight, simply because love is not an emotion. Love is not simply an emotion that's strong, or I like you a lot. And for her to say she's falling in love with Kalfani, though these two have not been through shit together, makes me feel like I have a crush on you times 10. And that's not what love is. Love is the sum culmination of your experiences with the other person. Like, you've been through some stuff and you still care about this person and you still cannot see your life with anyone else but that person. What y'all been through like that? When she said she was falling in love with Kalfani, that's when I started to look at Denise like, like something just wasn't tight. Something wasn't got too tight. Things get heavy. Things get really heavy. Producers call Jay to the room. And the way that they approached Jay could tell this was not a scene that he had to shoot. There was just something different about how they approached him. They let Jay know that they need him to go to Joy's room. Joy's sister passed away suddenly. And when they told Jay this, it hit me like a gut punch, because my sister and I, we're estranged. We haven't really spoken in years, and there's a whole backstory to that. Maybe I'll create another video for that. But there's a lot of hurt feelings there. There's a lot of emotion there, which puts a block between her and I. But if someone called me to tell me that my sister had passed away suddenly, mentally, I wouldn't know how to process it, because my whole life has been my sister. As long as I've existed, my sister has been there. And my brother's younger, like he's 5 years younger, so yeah, I remember a time when he wasn't in my life. But it's always been about my sister. So for Joy to lose her sister so tragically like that was kind of heavy. Jay goes to Joy's room to comfort her, and then Jay later on gives Tommy an update about what's going on with Joy. Jay and Tommy then have a lovely discussion about loss. And what I like about Tommy's whole reaction this episode is that he felt Joy's hurt. And he connected that with the loss of his own father. So I'm looking at nephew Tommy, and I'm thinking, Andy, you could never be a nephew Tommy as when it comes to hosting, because at that moment, looking at Tommy talk to Joy, looking at Tommy talk to Jay about Joy's loss and seeing how much he felt in that moment for Joy's pain, for Jay's pain, because he knows Jay has to shoulder Joy's pain to an extent. I'm like, Tommy, perhaps you need to start hosting these Real Housewives reunion, because obviously you have a heart that beats inside your chest, unlike Andy Cohen. Still mad at Andy Cohen for that Real Housewives of Potomac reunion, but I digress. Joy, of course, decides to leave the show, and they show footage of her breaking down, and it was the most gut-wrenching thing you can ever see, because she's crying in a way where the emotion was so raw, and you hear it in her voice, and she says, I can't deal with this, I can't process this, I just can't. And the only thing that Jay can do at the moment was just give her a tight hug and be the support that she needs. Damn, it was real. Tommy eventually meets with the group and lets the group know that Joy's sister had passed away and Joy will be leaving the show. Understandably, everyone is shocked. And again, the way that Tommy talks to the group, he expresses an emotion where you can feel Joy's loss. He understands Joy's loss and he empathizes with Joy's loss. Jay's at a point where he doesn't think he can continue with this journey in Houston to find love, because he wants to focus his energy on being with Joy. And that really gave me, I don't know if any of you guys watched the MTV challenges with CJ and DM. CJ was a competitor and DM was as well. DM was fighting cancer for a while, and there was the cancer would leave, come back, leave, and come back, and there was one episode where she was doing a challenge and she had these stomach pains. The ambulance had to come and get her. CJ didn't stay. CJ left the show to go be by DM's side. Unfortunately, DM did pass away shortly after, but Jay leaving the show gave me that joy. It took me back to that episode, and it also showed me that Jay really feels for Joy. Jay really does feel for Joy. This is not a TV thing. Even when Joy was breaking down and you saw how Jay was hugging her, trying to be her support, I'm like, that's real emotion there. He really liked that girl. Damn. Kalfani checks on Denise, and in my head, I'm thinking this loss that Joy just suffered is going to really shift the dynamic on the resort for people to really understand how short life is and add a layer of complexity to this whole journey. For the most part, it does. However, here comes Denise. Denise is chilling by the couch. Kalfani jumps over. Hey, D-Nice, checking up on her. I'm like, D-Nice, that does not sound like a nickname that you give somebody that you feeling. That sounds like your buddy. It gives me very homeboy type energy. But they're having a conversation. I'm like, all right, Denise is about to come with it. Denise is going to give him a layer of depth that's going to make him think twice about having Adriana as his number one. Child, I'm sitting there looking like Boo Boo the Fool. The first thing to come out of Denise's mouth is, well, something happens between myself and Anthony. And he says that something happened between her and Anthony, and she's going to have to break up with Kalfani. At this point, first of all, Kalfani's doing his best not to laugh in her face as she's going on and on about how she's falling for Anthony and she has to break up with him. And then Kalfani says, I was never under the impression that we were ever together. And I'm saying, Kalfani, I wasn't under that impression either. I wasn't under the impression that any of these singles were together on a dating show as of yet. Denise is touched, and I'm convinced Denise needs a lot more help than this dating game can give to her. So anyway, Kalfani is pleased as punched that he has been dumped, because now this gives him the clear path to Adriana and Adriana's heart. Denise, on the other hand, reveals the only reason why she broke up with Kalfani in the first place is for Kalfani to fight over her. And girl, now you got egg all over your face because it wasn't real like that with you. And even on top of that, like, why play the games? Why? You just had a conversation with this guy. He told you Adriana's is first. If Adriana's is first, you fight for him. Maybe you become the first, but instead of doing that, you're playing this I'm dumping you for Anthony kind of game. Like, you're playing games, and we are way too old to play those kind of reindeer games. Denise needs help. She needs to be off the show, honey. Winter checks in on Jay, and during this episode, Winter checks in on Jay, Winter checks in on Edwin, and you really see Winter's her nurturing side when it comes to checking up on these guys. She says, Jay, I know you really cared about Winter, so I just want to see how you're doing. Jay lets her know, listen, Jay says, oh, too many J's. Jay says, Joy was his number one. You were my number two. However, if I stay here, I'm only going to give you half of me. So Jay lets Winter know that he is leaving the show. So sad, really sad. But I do applaud Jay I applaud him for leaving. And I have to say as well, because the group, they send different tributes to Joy. And I have to say, Miss Joy, I respect the way that you played this game. You came in with a type of dignity, with a type of grace, with a type of class. And you were on the show, and you remained consistent. There was never a side of Joy that I saw that I didn't like. She was just of pure spirit. You can tell she wasn't coming in here to play a game. She was really coming in here to see what are the possibilities. And a lot of guys fed off of that, and this is why I believe she was one of the most highly, if not the most, highly sought after woman on the resort. So child, yeah, Jay's leaving. The group gets together and meets with Tommy, and I'm like, is this an elimination already? This seems kind of soon. But no, the group comes together, and Edward announces that he's discovered some things, especially in light of Joy losing her sister. He doesn't think his path to love is on this show, and I happen to agree. And I would even venture out to say, again, like Denise, there's some healing that needs to happen first before you go into a relationship. And he has a lot of backstory, a lot of emotional trauma that he's experienced. I think before you do anything, before you start looking for anything, you need to talk to someone to sort out these feelings, to understand these feelings, so that you can be a whole person for the wonderful woman that you will meet. And Edwin was one of my favorites, so it's really going to be sad to see him go, but I definitely respect his position. We had a lot of good personalities this season, a lot of good ones. Winter and Denise talk, and this is a pissing contest of sorts, especially when I say that, I mean more so on Denise's side, because Denise is letting Winter know in a subtle way that Anthony is her next target. Yes. Denise tells Winter that she broke up with Kalfani because she's falling in love with Anthony. So Winter's looking at Denise like, really, bitch? I have to read verbatim what Winter said because I liked it. I'm not going to paraphrase. I cannot paraphrase you, Queen Winter. Winter says Denise's decision to tell Kalfani that she loves Anthony has more to do with strategy than actual feelings. And I 100% agree. For Denise, it was a game for Kafani to fight for her, which, child, didn't work. Winter, who's used to being picked, second and passed over for the next, quickly goes to Anthony and gives him a temperature check. Listen, this is what Denise told me, and really, what's good? Are you feeling her like that? And Anthony was like, child, don't even worry about that. I don't want that girl like that. And Anthony's particularly in his feelings because Anthony had a conversation with Kafani. Kafani brings up the fact that Denise had this conversation with him about breaking up with him. Again, Kafani repeats, I didn't even know we were together. But yeah, she told me she's falling in love with you, Anthony, and she wants to be with you. Anthony is calling bullshit. Anthony was like, so you so-called broke up with someone and suddenly you're in love with me? He's calling bullshit. She doesn't seem genuine, and Anthony's already in his feelings. Yeah, I get it, Anthony. I get it. Rashid, hey Rashid. Shout outs to Rashid. Rashid comes through a couple of times and leaves nice comments under my videos. Thank you so much, sir. I'm rooting for you. Anyway, Rashid and Adriana are hanging out and they're playing the big ass Jenga Truth or Dare, which that would be a great game to play with my cousins during game night. I need to find out where I can get one. If anybody has any ideas, drop it down in the comment box. But anyway, they're playing their Jenga game, and they pull out a truth. Rashid pulls out a truth block, and he asks Adriana a question. Again, the same question. Listen, you know you're my top, and I know you got options. You know what I'm saying? But let me know. Am I 1, 2? Do you see yourself being with me? Adriana is thrown off. Adriana's like, oh my gosh, I did not think you would ask me that question. But she doesn't really give him an answer. She says, right now, I'm trying to figure out who would be my best life partner. And I'm like, girl, you do know we only got one more episode left to this thing, right? Stop wasting our time and give us an answer. But then Rashid, in the smooth, heartfelt, and earnest way of his that I have grown to love. Okay? He says, listen, you know I'm in this game. I'm trying to hit that 3-point shot, which will be your heart, Miss Adriana. But you know what? Even if I'm not the one that you ultimately pick, this time together is gift enough for me. Adriana, what's the problem here? I'm sitting here thinking, that answer though? That answer should show you how much Rashid, in fact, cares about you. So looking at this whole show, I haven't seen anything from Kafani of substance that would make me understand this big conflict between Rashid and Kafani. I just don't see it. There was one episode where Kafani was saying what he likes about Adriana, but seeing Adriana and Kafani interact, I'm like, I just don't get it. Whereas Adriana and Rashid interacting, Rashid drops these gems to show how much he really cares and how much he's in it. So I'm like, girl, you're ultimately going to do what you want to do as far as choosing between Rashid or Kafani, but if you choose Kafani, girl, wrong choice. Anthony pulls Denise over to the side to have a conversation with her. And I'm not sure if this is a date. It kind of looks like a date, but Anthony's energy is all the way off. But there is wine and fruit, so I would venture to say it is a date. Anyway, and however, Anthony wants to know how Denise feels about him. Denise is over the top with it, like just kind of like she's chattering away. She's like, oh, I am totally in it. I am falling. I am Falling. When she started spelling falling, I'm like, girl, bye. Girl, bye. I don't buy it, and Anthony certainly doesn't buy it. Anthony's face was... Anthony had the bitch please face all over while she was yammering on and on and on. A little scene, but very telling. Right, Anthony knows what's up, and Anthony is about ready to get into Denise's ass, but you know, he plays the gentleman and rolls his eyes as she's talking her nonsense. Tommy meets with the group, and Tommy lets the group know families are being flown in. You gotta meet the families, because the families and their introspect is a very important part of selecting who you ultimately want to be with. Anthony takes the time to pull Miss Denise to the side, and Anthony basically lets her know, dog, it's a no for me. Yeah, I think I'm gonna rock with Winter. I'm gonna move on with Winter. I'm basically gonna let you go. At this point, Denise understands she lost Kafani, now she lost Anthony. There's nothing left for her, and she walks off. So Denise self-eliminates herself, and I think that is for the best. But in true, fashion, because I find a lot of these women that are let go, you can take it gracefully, or you can be trash about an exit. And of course, Denise has to be a little bit trash about her exit. She says, well, I'm so proud of myself. I didn't settle. You didn't settle, miss. You weren't picked. You tried to be picked. You tried to be picked by Kafani, then you tried to be picked by Anthony. None of them wanted you, so it has nothing to do with settling. You played a game that you lost. That was it. Very heavy episode, and it had a nice laughs, a key here or there too, to mellow out the seriousness of Joy losing her sister. But yes, excellent episode as usual. You know I'm a Ready to Love fanatic, so I'm never going to say an episode is bad. But if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm so hoping that I'm able to edit this and upload it, because I want to step up my YouTube game, and part of stepping up my YouTube game is figuring out how to work this damn camera. But yes, Love and Marriage Huntsville is back January 30th, so I will also be reviewing that. So if you're a Love and Marriage fan, please check out one of my reviews. Well, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out and Happy New Year's, guys.